We have our final social innovator presentation now, and then after that, we'll have a presentation from our impact entrepreneur. The next social innovator to speak will be Julie Levin, the Executive and Artistic Director of Shelter Music Boston. Shelter Music Boston is the innovator on the Expanding Access to Classical Music in Greater Boston track, which has been sponsored by the Free for All Concert Fund. Julie is first and foremost a classical violinist. She has performed in London, Jerusalem, Tokyo, and across North America. She is a soloist on a Grammy-nominated recording, a member of the Handel and Haydn Society, and part of the Boston Pops Esplanade Orchestra. Her deep belief that all people deserve access to the dignity, creativity, and passion of classical music compelled her to found Shelter Music Boston in 2010. And she is very proud to have received a Hero Award from the Shattuck Shelter for the impact of classical music in that homeless shelter. In addition to degrees from Oberlin College and Conservatory, Julie is also a 2012 graduate of the Institute of Nonprofit Management and Leadership of the Boston University School of Management.
Mozart, such as I've just played for you, in the homeless shelter, a woman without a home said, "That music was water for my soul when it was thirsty." Shelter Music Boston concerts change shelters, and remarkable results unfold. Here are some examples. Jonathan is a shelter guest who has been diagnosed with schizophrenia and has not spoken productively with his shelter counselors for the 2 years he's been staying in the Shattuck shelter. After the second Shelter Music Boston concert, he began to speak with the shelter's social worker and psychiatrist, and what he spoke about was classical music. Ensuing conversations with the shelter counselors enabled him to begin to take the stabilizing medication that he had previously refused to take. Shelter guests sleep better following concerts, and there is less conflict in the shelters after performances. This means no 911 calls, no additional medical intervention is required, and less wear and tear on shelter facilities. Our model is based on empowerment through interaction with live classical music. Every month, 2 to 3 professional musicians perform hour-long concerts, currently in 4 shelters. The same musicians return to the same shelters month after month, always with a new program of music. This builds trust and respect between the shelter guests and staff and the musicians. Concerts are a reprieve from the relentless noise and volatility of the shelters. Between pieces, musicians and shelter guests have extensive conversations about the music, composers, emotions, and ideas. These conversations bring hope and dignity to shelter guests. We have reinvented the point of a concert at a time when the classical music industry itself requires innovation to evolve and survive. Major medical research centers are documenting the kinds of change we see. At the Music and Neuroimaging Lab at Harvard Medical School, researchers are exploring the ways music can modulate mood, behavior, and cognition. And at Duke Cancer Treatment Center and the Cleveland Clinic, researchers have shown, studies have shown, in fact, that listening to music can lower blood pressure, can reduce anxiety and depression and insomnia. Since 2010, we have already once successfully doubled the number of shelters we serve, and our concerts consistently produce the results I've spoken about. Shelter guests themselves document these results in surveys we collect after every concert. One shelter guest, a recovering addict, has said that now she's learned about classical music, She intends to listen to it to deal with her stress, whereas previously she knows she would have turned to drugs. And a shelter social worker has observed, people are sitting calmly together. I can see happiness on their faces. This is remarkable to see in this place. Shelter Music Boston is currently the only organization in Boston delivering monthly concerts performed by professional musicians to be used as a social service tool in homeless shelters. We have 3 shelters on our waiting list for our concerts. Our 2-year expansion plans include addressing this unmet need and broadening the scope of shelters we serve. In particular, we are looking forward to bringing the emotional impact of live music to shelters serving families with children. After every one of our concerts, our audiences ask for recordings of us playing the music they've just heard in the shelter. And I have to tell you that almost everyone I've met in the shelters is carrying a smartphone or an iPod, using these devices to listen to music. Providing our audiences with downloadable recordings of our concerts will enable them to carry literally in their pockets the improved well-being they've experienced during the concerts. And this will allow us to grow the impact of the concerts beyond the live performances. We seek an investment of $190,000. This investment will enable us to grow the number of shelters we reach to reach 10 shelters, to provide recordings for our audiences, and to build and grow organizational infrastructure by adding musician and operations staff. Our vision and what compels me to return to the shelters month after month to perform is the belief that all people deserve access to the transformative power of live classical music. This is what compels us to return. I have 2 of my colleagues here with me tonight. I hope that if you have any questions, you will comment up and ask me and my colleagues, my board members. We look forward to telling you more about Shelter Music Boston. And I would like to finish with an excerpt from a work written in 1939 by the Hungarian composer Laszlo Weiner. This piece was a huge hit on 8 recent shelter concerts.